Today's experience is sent to us by a sister. She went on a dry fasting with God and had this encounter to share. A serious warning concerning the demonic product that will soon be in circulation in the market space. It's very dangerous. Kindly stay to the end to fully understand this experience. My name is Rachel. I had this experience on the 27th of October during a 10 days fasting. As I prepared myself for the 10-day fast, I felt an undeniable call deep within, one that grew more intense with every passing day. This wasn't just about abstaining from food. It was a call to confront parts of myself I'd left buried for too long, to strip away any lingering shadows in my spirit and find God in a way I had never dared before. The decision wasn't an easy one, and my family had their concerns. My mother, especially, worried about my health, wondering if I could manage such a challenge. But I reassured her with as much conviction as I could muster, telling her, I feel God is drawing me closer, calling me to a place of repentance and renewal. It's something I can't ignore. In the quiet moments of prayer leading up to the fast, I sensed a deep urgency, a pull toward something bigger, something I needed to understand and confront. I felt that there were layers in me, parts one hadn't yet surrendered fully. The Spirit seemed to whisper in my heart, urging me to let go of distractions and focus only on the presence of God. I prepared myself as best I could, setting aside everything I thought I would need: water, blankets, and my Bible by my side. As I lay out my intentions before God, I prayed, Lord, reveal what needs to be cleansed. Show me where I have fallen short. On the first day of the fast, I felt both the physical hunger and a spiritual hunger, the latter stronger than I'd expected. By the third day, I noticed a stillness I hadn't felt before, an almost eerie quiet in my spirit. It was as if God was preparing me, creating a sacred space within my soul where I would soon encounter things hidden in the depths of my heart. I spent the evenings alone, sitting in silence, feeling God's presence surround me. I knew something awaited me, though I couldn't fully grasp what. On the fourth night of my fast, everything began to blur, as if my body were drifting away from me, fading into a strange, heavy silence. I could feel myself slipping, and though my mind tried to grasp at consciousness, I couldn't hold on. Before I knew it, I had entered a darkness so thick it felt like the world itself had vanished. As I hovered there, somewhere between worlds, I could still sense the room around me but could no longer move or respond. Yet, in the distance, I heard my mother's voice, laced with worry and fear, echoing softly, as if reaching for me from a place far away. Though I couldn't respond, I felt her hands on me, cool and tender, as she wiped my brow, whispering prayers for me to return. I saw a strange scene unfold as if watching it from a distance. My family had gathered around me, afraid that I was gone. My mother, fighting back tears, prepared my body carefully, as if she sensed my spirit was lingering but couldn't be certain. I saw my father, his hand on her shoulder, trying to be strong for her, though I could see the worry in his eyes as well. And then, like a gentle light cutting through the darkness, a figure appeared near me, an angel, tall and serene, radiating a calming presence. His gaze was fixed on me, his expression one of quiet assurance, as if to say, "She's not lost." I felt him standing as a silent guardian over me, his presence unwavering, ensuring that no harm. As I drifted further from my body, I felt myself pulled into a vast, weightless space. Suddenly, I became aware of figures around me, creatures with twisted, unnatural forms. their eyes glinting with an intelligence that was both dark and ancient. Their presence filled me with an instinctual dread, a feeling that cut through my spirit with an almost physical force. These beings were unlike anything I'd ever imagined. Tall, gaunt, and cloaked in shadow, with faces that shifted like smoke, revealing sharp, distorted features. With no way to resist, I felt myself moving alongside them. My spirit pulled forward as they surrounded me on all sides, forming a grim escort. As we drew closer, one of the creatures let out a low, guttural sound, and the gates creaked open, revealing a dark interior lined with countless cells. This was the satanic prison of the flesh, a place that felt saturated with despair, as if the very walls were built from anguish and regret. Inside, I could see shadowed figures, people bound and chained, their faces etched with pain and sorrow. Though their bodies appeared whole, their spirits were shackled, weighed down by chains that glowed faintly with the sins that held them captive: lying, anger, lust, addiction. One by one, I looked into the cells and saw people locked within, each bound by chains of various shapes and sizes. Some chains were thin, delicate almost, yet their hold was strong and unbreakable. Others were thick and heavy, weighing down their captives with a burden that seemed unbearable. Each soul was marked by a torment unique to the sins that had ensnared them. My heart clenched as I saw the deacon from my church. It was made known to me that his sin was anger, a deep-seated rage he'd hidden well behind a facade of kindness and leadership. In another cell, I saw a young woman who used to attend our Bible study. She had always seemed so lively, full of laughter and warmth. But here, she was hunched over, bound her, and she was in great tears. I got to know that she had hidden struggles with fornication and lust. She were caught in an endless cycle of shame and regret. Seeing them, my heart broke. These were people I had known, people who had walked beside me in faith. Yet here they were, imprisoned by the sins that had taken root in their lives. The sorrow weighed heavily upon me, for I could feel the anguish of each soul, the silent cries they carried as they remained bound to the sins of the flesh. It was as if each chain represented years of unconfessed struggles, hidden burdens they had refused to release. In an instant, I felt myself pulled away from the prison of the flesh and into another realm of darkness, even more desolate than the last. In the midst of the suffocating darkness, a sudden warmth enveloped me, a light so pure and gentle that it felt as though it pierced through the very shadows that surrounded me. My heart began to race as the glow intensified, expanding and filling the prison with a radiance that no darkness could resist. And then, from the heart of that light, he appeared, Jesus, draped in perfect purity, his presence a balm that soothed every ache deep within my soul. His face radiated compassion, and in his eyes, I saw a profound understanding and love that overwhelmed me. Tears filled my eyes as I realized that he had come to me in this place of despair. His gaze met mine, and in that instant, every fear, every doubt, and every lingering sorrow seemed to vanish. Without a word, he extended his hand, and as I took it, an all-encompassing peace washed over me, settling my spirit in ways I had never known. Then he spoke to me, his voice soft but resolute, resonating with deep truth and wisdom. He revealed to me the truth of the prisons I was witnessing. He showed me that these were not just places of punishment, but the consequences of sin left unaddressed, of wounds that had been nurtured rather than healed, of bitterness and hatred that had taken root in the hearts of those trapped within. He let me understand that the souls in these cells were not cast here by some external force, but rather they had placed themselves here by holding on to their pain, resentment, and unforgiveness, allowing these feelings to define them instead of turning to Him for healing and freedom. The more He revealed, the more I understood. The darkness around these souls was not a punishment from God, but a reflection of the unresolved sin within them, the choices they made to cling to anger and hurt rather than embracing forgiveness and mercy. Every prison cell, every chain they wore, was the result of their own decisions, which had drawn them further and further away from His light and love. In that moment, I realized the depth of His sacrifice, not just for sin, but for the internal prisons we build for ourselves. He showed me that the way to freedom was simple, though not always easy. To let go, to forgive, to open the heart to His light and healing. He made it clear that sin was more than just an action. It was a condition of the heart, a state of being that could consume the soul if left unchecked. But He also revealed that His love was far greater than any sin, and His forgiveness was powerful enough to break every chain that bound us. The only thing required was a willing heart, ready to surrender and receive His grace. As Jesus' presence faded, the warmth and light He had brought began to recede, and once again, shadows closed in around me. I felt the air grow thick, and an uneasy silence filled the space, as if something malevolent had been waiting for its chance to strike. Then, from the darkness, the torment began. Next, dark figures appeared in the shadows, spirits with hollow, empty eyes and contorted faces. They began to whisper, their voices soft but filled with spite, taunting me, trying to weaken my resolve. Each word was an attempt to break me down, to make me doubt the presence of Jesus I had just felt, to make me question my faith. Suddenly, I noticed a presence in the room, a towering figure cloaked in shadows, emanating a powerful and malevolent energy. I understood instantly that he is Moloch. His gaze was sharp, penetrating, and seemed to see straight through me, reaching deep into the very essence of my being. In his hands he held small, dark vials. It was filled with red substance, liquid in form. I could feel the darkness emanating from them. Moloch lifted one of the vials and held it up to the dim light, almost as if presenting it for inspection. He revealed to me that these vials contained plagues, curses that had been crafted with meticulous precision and dark intent. Each disease contained within was designed as a weapon, something unlike anything humanity had encountered before. These were not ordinary diseases, he let me know. They were supernatural, their power beyond human understanding, designed to cause suffering on a scale unimaginable to those still alive on earth. As he spoke, there was a sense of pride in his voice, as though he reveled in the horror of the plagues he had unleashed. His eyes glinted with cruel satisfaction as he let me know that these diseases were created with malice, to bring not only physical pain but to drain the very spirit of those afflicted. He made it clear that they were designed to attack the soul, to break people spiritually, in ways far worse than any disease humanity had ever faced. These diseases, he explained, were unbreakable by human means, and they were a judgment on those who continued to live in defiance, unaware of the spiritual forces conspiring against them. Moloch took pleasure in my horror, as though savoring the fear his revelations provoked. He went on to explain that these plagues were created in the dark laboratories of his kingdom, born of a will to destroy. They were weapons, he said, designed to target not just the body, but the soul, punishing humanity for its pride and rebellion. He let me know that, much like the devastation of AIDS that had already swept through the world, these plagues would bring suffering far beyond human comprehension. Yet they were not merely physical diseases, they were crafted to strike at the very core of humanity's false sense of security. Moloch spoke of how humanity believed they were untouchable. They placed their faith in their technology, their medicine, and their knowledge, thinking they were immune to such spiritual forces. But he revealed to me that they were mistaken. Humanity had neglected the soul, their true defense against such darkness, and these plagues would exploit that weakness. These diseases would tear down the walls of pride, expose human frailty, and force people to confront the consequences of their sin. He held up another vial, even darker than the first, and I was overcome by the sheer terror of it. As he did, a vision flashed before me. An image of a plague sweeping through entire cities, devouring lives indiscriminately. The disease spread quickly, its symptoms brutal and unrelenting. I saw the hopelessness in the eyes of those who tried to fight it, and the devastation it left behind. Families torn apart, communities ravaged, and a sense of despair that hung heavy in the air. The fear was overwhelming, a suffocating silence that seemed to scream across the world. I could no longer contain the sorrow and fear rising within me. I asked, trembling, if there was no hope, no way for humanity to escape this impending doom. Moloch's twisted grin faltered for a moment, and I sensed a flicker of irritation in his eyes, as though my question had touched a nerve. He revealed to me that for those who refused to turn from their rebellion, who remained stubborn in their sin, there would be no hope. But for those who humbled themselves, who sought the light and turned from their wicked ways, he let me know that there might still be a chance. His words, though mocking, held an undeniable truth. There was a path for those who chose to walk away from the darkness. In that moment, clarity began to pierce through the shadows. I remembered Jesus' words from the prison of souls, where he had spoken of release and freedom for those willing to surrender their pride and seek his forgiveness. Moloch's plagues were devastating, but they did not hold the final word. There was still a way out, a path that led toward salvation and peace, though it would not be easy to walk. As Moloch disappeared into the shadows, leaving me alone with the weight of his words, I felt both the urgency of his warning and the flicker of hope that remained. It was at this point I woke up and found myself in the hospital. Brothers and sisters in Christ, I urge you to listen closely to the warnings of the enemy. The devil is not idle. His plans are far-reaching and relentless, designed to ensnare the unwary and lead them astray. As followers of Christ, we are called to be vigilant, to live in constant awareness of the spiritual battle that rages around us. But many Christians today have become complacent, caught up in the distractions and temptations of the world, unaware of the darkness creeping in. We must be ever watchful of how we live, how we spend our time, and yes, even the things we purchase and allow into our lives. The devil is clever. His schemes are subtle. He doesn't always attack from the outside. Sometimes he infiltrates from within, through the things we hold dear or the comforts we indulge in. Every item we buy, every habit we form, can either draw us closer to God or slowly pull us away. We must be careful not to let the world's offerings, whether they be material possessions, entertainment, or influences, become a snare. These things may seem harmless on the surface, but the devil can use them to weaken our resolve and cloud our judgment, leading us down paths we never intended to walk. The plagues and dangers we heard about, spiritual traps set by the enemy, diseases, distractions, and the slow erosion of our faith, are not just things we hear about from afar. They are part of a very real spiritual warfare happening right now. The devil is already laying his traps, looking for openings in our lives to exploit. It's in the things we consume, in the media we allow into our homes, in the materialism that consumes our hearts. We must be discerning in every area of life. Do we look at our purchases, our entertainment, our habits, and ask ourselves, does this honor God? Is this leading me toward Him or away from Him? All right, friends, this brings us to end of today's experience. Kindly like and share this video with your friends and families. Kindly subscribe to our channel and turn on your notification bell icon to be the first to get updated anytime we upload a new experience sent to us. Remain blessed.